What's up, guys? Bryan Lebo here with your May Las Vegas market update video. Today I'm going to cover all the normal statistics for last month, but then I'm going to take a few minutes to talk a little bit more about these mortgage forbearances and provide you with a little bit of an update. Now, for those that haven't watched my last coronavirus video, I took some time to really break down how these loan forbearances could just be our next housing bubble here in Las Vegas. I'll make sure that there's a link below in the description for you guys. Now, in the meantime, let's get right to it. First up are last month's sales. I was pleasantly surprised to find out that last month we sold 1,794 homes. This was actually a 32.5% decline from April of last year. Certainly not great news, but honestly, I figured this would be closer to like 50%. However, remember that homes that closed last month went into contract in February and March. This month should be the first true month where we see the damage occur in sales. Now, anything that closes in May most likely went into contract post-quarantine. Okay, next up are median home prices. As you can see on the screen now, we ended last month with a median price of only $309,250. This was a 2% drop from March and means that we've now only appreciated 3.5% from this same time last year. Okay, next, let's check out our inventory levels. As you can see now, we ended April with 6,002 homes on the market. This amounted to roughly a 16% increase in inventory just for the month of April. Now, while that number is huge, let's dig even a little deeper. Yes, inventory rose almost 16% last month. More importantly, inventory has risen over 42% since the quarantine. But 2 weeks ago, we only added 47 homes to the market, and then last week, we actually lost 10 homes. So while yes, inventory has been rising dramatically, it looks like we've actually stabilized for the moment. Now, here's my theory. I think that a lot of people immediately reacted and listed their homes for sale. Think the same people that overreacted and bought up all the damn toilet paper, paper towels, you get it. But just like toilet paper and paper towels, things have calmed back down a little bit, right? I think things are likely to be very cool this month. I wouldn't even be surprised if inventory retracts slightly. Depending on when we finally enter phase one, I think we're going to see a lot of homes jump on the market and a good amount of sales at the same time. Might be for a few weeks, might even last a couple of months. Right now, we're living in some kind of parallel universe, so don't read too much into things at the moment. Okay, now I want to revisit the topic of mortgage forbearances. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I did an entire video explaining how mortgage forbearances could become our next housing bubble. Now, I'm not going to recover this entire topic. Just go ahead and watch the video for that one. But I was able to get some new information and some numbers finally. Now, first, and I have no damn idea how this never made the news, but HUD came out and announced a repayment plan for homeowners with FHA loans. Again, this only pertains to borrowers with FHA loans. Now, for those FHA borrowers who do take forbearances, HUD designed a special program that allows for this. In short, let's say you're unable to make payments for an entire year. Technically, you can take a 1-year forbearance with the FHA. Well, like I stated in the previous video, if you can't afford to pay your mortgage right now, it's unlikely that you'll manage to save up enough money 6 to 12 months from now to repay it all back. So instead, what HUD has done is this. HUD will basically create a new interest-free mortgage for the balance that you owe. This mortgage will subordinate to the first mortgage. So think of it as a second mortgage. But this second mortgage does not need to be paid until the first mortgage is paid off. So while the model is different, effectively they figured out a way to basically tack on those payments to the end of your loan after all. Again, this only helps homeowners with FHA loans. Okay, now to the second part. This has to do with some quick numbers. As of right now, 7% of American mortgages are in forbearance. That number is expected to reach 15% in the next couple of months. Now, when it comes to FHA and VA loans, the number goes from 7% up to 10.5% right now. Keep in mind that these numbers are based on a national level. It's quite fair to presume that these numbers will be much higher in cities like Las Vegas, since as a city, we're more exposed to the economic downfall. So if the national number is 15%, what's Vegas going to be? 20%? 25%? All right, let's try to make some sense out of this madness. In the end, this is how I see it. Our demand was so much higher than our supply was before all this coronavirus stuff. Right now, it seems as though we found a balance between supply and demand. As we start to come out of quarantine, I think to some degree, it's going to look like business as usual. I would expect sales numbers to be slightly decreased for the rest of this year, but not as terrible as they actually should be. You have to remember, right now is somewhat of a fantasy. People are getting paid $4,000 a month to not work, and you don't have to pay your mortgage either. This is a wonderful band-aid to the problem. The issue becomes this, though. As we come out of the quarantine this summer, restaurants and businesses are likely to fail. Like, come on, a lot are going to fail. I think we're going to see a tremendous amount of failed businesses nationwide, and more specifically in Las Vegas. Some people will, cash out because they simply don't have a choice. But most people will hang in there until the very end, just like they did 10 years ago. I don't expect anything to happen until the end of this year. Let's see how people react in October when all these forbearances come due. Let's see how people react when unemployment benefits run out. I really do think that this holiday season it's likely going to be incredibly bleak. People are going to realize this October that they have no choice but to sell their home. Once people start dumping their properties in October and November, that's when the clock actually starts. It's normally the worst time of year to sell a home anyhow. Now combine that with excessive inventory and a diminished and scared pool of buyers. I think this is what we're going to be looking at going into next year. Honestly, I think this year is going to be okay. The damage is being done right now. However, the effects of the damage won't be visible until next year. Remember, the world crashed in 2008, but the foreclosures didn't really start until 2009. And even then, prices took 3 years to finally reach rock bottom. So just because prices and demand don't look that bad right now doesn't mean that the effects won't be felt down the line. Think of it this way. When you sprain your ankle, it hurts. But you can still tie your shoe tighter and walk off the court and even walk home if you have to. It's when you wake up the next morning that you realize you can't even put a toe on the ground anymore. Right now, we're just tightening our shoes. Well, that's it for this month, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy all this lovely weather we're having, and be sure to hit the subscribe button. See you guys all next month.